5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is Monday night for us, Tuesday morning for them.
Yep.
You know, before we start sharing about our life, in case some of you wonder why we do that, I was just thinking about it when I was waiting for you right now. I want to explain. So before, if you're new and you're like, man, these guys, they just keep talking about, whatever they go through before they go 10 minutes and then they finally get into the lesson. I want to explain to you. I grew up in a Christian home. Mm-hmm. And I grew up at a time where pastors we never knew their personal life.
Yeah.
On TV, or a lot of pastors in the churches, for whatever reason, they were very, very private. And almost as if they didn't struggle with life, almost as if they lived in this holy bubble. And
a holy bubble.
Yeah. And so just so you can understand the reasoning why, that we share our kids, we share the meals we make, we share when we're sick, we share our yawns on here, we
share everything.
Yeah, in case you didn't know why. And in case you want an explanation, honestly, I don't want to be that private person. I don't want to be that person that you think is, oh, that's the pastor, and this and that. Honestly, because I came out of the music industry, by being private, it causes a mystery about you. That's why people go to your concerts. That's why people go to your autograph signings, because I get to be by them. I don't want that. I don't want that in ministry. I don't want that. And what do people do when they walk in after watching us for a year?
Yeah, they feel like they know us already.
Exactly. So every time I hear that,
they feel weird being around us.
Yeah, nobody's starstruck. Nobody's like, oh, Pastor House of Red. No, it's exactly what we want. And I love hearing it. They're like, man, I've been watching you for a year and a half. And you guys are exactly the way you are in the video. I feel like I know you already.
Yeah, they're like, you guys are just the same. The way you guys are on YouTube, you guys are just the same. But I think it's so important, that they do get to know us, and I think it's important for them to realize that who we are. I love one thing, it's so funny that you even said that, because just this morning, I saw a picture of when Abraham went up to say something on Pastor Appreciation Day. And that caught me by surprise, guys. It really did. It caught me by surprise. He is so shy and never really goes up and says anything or anything like that. But he went up there on his own that day. And one thing that he says, he told David, thank you for being an example to me. The same way you are at home is the same way you are here. And that meant a lot.
He said, for giving me an example of a real man, something like that.
Of a real man of God.
Yeah, a real man of God.
Yeah, a real man of God. And who you are here is the same man you are at home and everything. And, I love when he said that, because I love that my son has that example.
Nobody else could say that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's out of all the kids, he's the one around us the most.
Yeah, he is. You guys have to understand this, okay? And I say this with complete humility. As you guys know that, I just came from being with my kids in SoCal, to celebrate Thanksgiving 1 week early. And, I was a single mom for so long, for many, many years. And a lot of the times, we want to do so much to impress our kids and to do so much so that you're never forgotten, because they grow up and they go on to live their lives. And And we think like, gosh, they're going to grow up, they're going to live their lives, they're going to move on and all of that. And you think, okay, well, you always feel like you have to do so much more. You have to sacrifice so much more so that you're not forgotten, And, man, I cooked my heart out. I really did. I overdid so much. And, throughout these last 2 days, they invited other family. And I thought that was wonderful. But I thought that I was just going to have time with just my children. But it didn't happen that way. So I didn't even really get a chance to spend as much time as I wanted to with my kids.
Well, yesterday.
But, yeah. But it was still so much worth it, guys. But you then realize, like, every small moment is so worth it.
It's Abraham.
Oh.
I thought he was working late.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Oh.
One of them's walking in right now, guys. Oh. But, you're so grateful for those moments. You really, really are. Hey, babe. Say hello to the camera as you pass through. And there's food on the counter for you, by the way.
Oh, one of the plates is yours.
Yeah. Hurry up. Go through. Say hello. But, guys, you just begin to learn to appreciate and value so much. And being a single mom and not thinking that your kids are going to be able to experience such beautiful moments like this, and seeing that Abraham had said that day, I was so grateful and so thankful that he finally had a moment to realize what it was to have that in his life, because he grew up without having a father figure, without knowing what it's even like to even have his father in his life, and I say that to say that this is that when we have moments like that, is that we seize them and that we appreciate them and that we take them in. And man, we just have to appreciate those moments, yeah, and be so thankful for them and so grateful for them. And even if it's for a moment, no matter if they're just for a moment, that we seize them and we take that opportunity and that we just appreciate them.
Yeah. Well, exactly what you just shared is exactly why I explained what I explained at the beginning of this video. Because I think a lot of pastors that keep their life very private are doing a disservice. Yeah. I'll tell you why. Because somebody will hear what you just said and get something out of that. Yeah. And that's why it's so important, guys. And that's why we do this, because think about it. If all you want to do is get a Bible study, then you don't need this channel. There's probably a few hundred great Bible study channels they go straight in the Word and everything, and then this channel is not needed. So,
but you have some people that will look at that will look at this, will look at something that I said as, as a sign of weakness, and they'll be like, oh, well, it's. But I look at people that look at that like that as very shallow, and I think I think that then you need to search your heart. You need to look at your heart, honestly.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody thinks that's watching now, because they would have not been watching. I think
when people are too critical like that, when people begin to think critical and think she has some growing to do, or they can be critical, then you need to really search your heart, and then you really need to humble yourself, know.
But I
really.
mean, 9 minutes in, none of those people are on here, because it literally takes you 30 seconds to know whether you want to watch a video or not. When I go to YouTube and look at other things, so those anybody that would even think like that is not even on at 9 minutes and 49 seconds. But you're right. you know. But I think that's why we choose to just share our hearts and be ourselves, read scripture, and make it relevant.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is, what we were called to do. You know, because I think we do it okay. You know, and but yeah, we did have a great time. You know, it's worth the drive, guys. The more I drive down there, the shorter it seems, to be honest. I remember the first times. I mean, I've been to LA, countless times before I knew Sharon, but obviously it's more often because her family's there, but it really isn't that bad of a drive, honestly. It really isn't. Yesterday felt like we got here quick, and not because I sped, guys. It just felt quick, It got dark early, and for some reason in the dark, it just zooms by,
Oh, I don't know. I slept a
Oh,
little
well,
way,
dude,
guys.
must have been really fast for you then.
Yeah.
But I wanted to really talk about this subject or this verse that I quote quite a bit, and I just want to, can we get into it? Or?
Sure.
All right. It is in the...
Sure. I do want to make a quick announcement, though. For those who are local, though, and those that did, I'm talking to our local church family, guys. If you are going to be part of the church choir for our December program, please make sure that you get a hold of me through our church email at houseofrestchurch@gmail.com. I definitely would like to let you know when we will be having our first choir practice. So please reach out to me. And I know you must have my information if you have been at the church already. So reach out to me. Okay.
All right.
That's about it.
Isaiah 42. Isaías 42. Isaiah 42.
Isaiah 42.
Verse 8. A verse I quote very often.
Verse 8?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm there.
It's probably... Oh, it's on...
5 through 9. Okay.
Yeah, I just want 8. Where's the 9 start? Where's 10 start? So it'd probably be somewhere...
Right here.
Is that it?
I think.
Let's see. I'll just read it.
Okay. Read.
Yeah, it is that part. I don't know if I like it there, but we'll read the Amplified also. Okay, Isaiah 42:8 says this. I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved images.
In the Message, David reads out of the New King James, and I'll be reading out of the Message. It says, I am God, that's my name. I don't franchise my glory. Don't endorse the no God idols. Take note. Right?
Yeah, that's it. Read the Amplified now. This is one, sometimes I love the Amplified, guys.
Amplified.
Verse 8.
Oh, I should have put it on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's all right.
On the Wi-Fi. Remember when you first got
Yeah,
out
I
of
didn't
prison,
know how
you
to
thought
say Wi-Fi.
It was Wi-Fi, not Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Maybe I should close all these out.
You had a bunch of windows open?
Yes.
Close your windows.
Okay. So verse 8.
Yeah.
All right, here it is. I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I will not give to another, nor my praise to carved idols.
Wow. So the Lord says he would not give his glory to... How to say it again? Before you close it out? Verse 8. That's 7. That's 7.
Oh, sorry.
I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I will not give to another. Guys, I have quoted that over and 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 over. Ever since I first read it in prison. And I'll be honest with you, this verse made my knees shake. It really did. I'm not sure where I heard it. I don't know if I read it or if I was reading a book that put it, in context. I don't remember. It might have been the Bible college. I don't know what it was, man, but this verse really stood out to me because I read this verse. Obviously, I'd read it many times before I knew I was called to pastor.
You do. You share it a lot up there from the pulpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I read the Bible several times, but once I was called to pastor, and then this verse sounded a whole lot different to me. The reason being is because he says, I'll share my glory with no one. I'm not going to give my glory to anyone.
Nadie.
That means all glory belongs to him. So this verse, truly, my prayers were, God, never, never, never let me exalt myself. Never. And there's a few things we do at House of Rest that maybe you don't notice, maybe you do notice, or actually maybe things we don't do. But I'm going to state a few of them and I'll tell you why they're on purpose. Okay. I released a Christian rap album in 2013 called Dyno, called To Reach the Masses. No picture of me on the front. It was a picture of a cross. We released a single, both of us. No picture of us on the front. It was of your little feet.
The tips of my feet.
Yeah.
Not my whole feet either.
We did a song with me, Tony, and Anthony, and you guys doing the chorus. No picture on the cover. We release a flyer every week of the sermon title. No picture on the cover. We've had flyers of services of this or that. No picture on the cover. Because this verse, would never leave me. And so when I got out of prison, I remember seeing billboards of churches, and the picture of the pastor and his wife were bigger than the words of the address of the church. And it popped in my head, honestly, guys, because I used to be in marketing. I used to own a record label. And I remembered, if you go back to all of my album covers, it was my big old face on every single cover. I'll tell you why. Because I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to. Because if you think about it, there's other rappers that were huge. The bigger the rappers were, the less they put themselves on the cover because everybody knew who they were already. Why did Tupac need to be in the front? I remember there's a Cypress Hill. They put some drawing on the front. Why? Because they didn't need to be known. They already know.
So what changed? Because I remember when was it at the beginning when you first started your church? Mm-hmm. I think you had some business cards or something.
Yes.
So what changed?
I was angry about that. I was angry, right? Because I was a new pastor with a new congregation, and I allowed people that were serving God longer than me to convince me to say, oh, you have to, because people want to see who the pastor is and this and that, whatever. And I was kind of growing into my own as a pastor, and I'm just like, well, maybe they know more than me. They've been saved for 20 years. They've been saved for a long time. And, or they came from bigger churches and allowed that influence to come in, And I think I made one flyer. And after that, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. I'm done. So I forgot about that. Yeah. But yeah, that is why.
Because I remember finding one. And I remember you had a flyer that had that in. Mm-hmm. That's why I questioned.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked because somebody else might remember that. That is why. And I allowed myself to be influenced by other believers because you know what? I know they meant good because that's all they've known. But once I started to get my wind as a pastor and started to be like, okay, wait a second. If God has called me to pastor, he's called me to lead. And I felt wrong. I remember feeling conviction about having my face on the cover, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with that. So
I think that's why it's so important too, because I know we've had people within our church that have made business cards, for other reasons, and they've put their own picture or whatever for whatever reason and everything, for other stuff. And
there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, here's a thing, and you got to let me finish before
I'm sorry.
you don't like me doing that.
I know.
That to me.
I apologize.
And I've had other people come and ask me, oh, is that your pastor and everything? And I'll be like, oh, no, they're not the pastors. They're authors of the book or something like that, So we got to be very, very careful with a lot of the things that we portray, when it has the church name and stuff like that, or, and everything. And that's why I tell people sometimes whenever we're representing the church, we got to be careful what we also put out, what we do whenever we put the church name on it. And I think those things are important to do as well. So whenever we're representing the church, I think it's important that what we do is important.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think I'm completely legalistic. If we go to the website, you're gonna find pictures of us, because if somebody goes to the website, they want to find out, well, who's the pastor? Where did he go to school? Who's this? Who's, that is understandable. I'm not super. All of a sudden, super anti having a picture, or else I wouldn't have a channel. I'd be wearing a mask right now. You know what I mean? But, I guess this verse where he says he shares his glory with no one, that has always struck me, because once I got out of prison, I saw so much vanity in ministry.
Okay.
I saw so much vanity, so much self-importance, so much self-title. I would see these preachers and they had a PhD in divinity, and they were a psychologist, and they were a pastor and whatever, and they would have all this long old title, and it's if they were in the army, they'd be colonel, sergeant, minister, divinity, pastor, evangelist, apostle, and I'm just like, this is really dumb. This is really dumb, seriously, and it just doesn't make sense, It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see in the Bible anybody saying, I'm the great prophet this, I'm a great prophet that. They were called prophets because they were. They were, so they lived it. You know what I mean? And that was it. And, but I think...
But I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being done for recognition of to give announcement for something, or for recognitions, or for something to show that. But I get what you're saying, though, and I think that has to be really. I think that you have to really. Explain that better, though, because there's a difference between to announce a service as opposed to continuously putting yourself above something. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, I got a couple examples.
Because if I want to show that I'm the pastor of this church, it's one thing to do it, but to continuously put yourself above the cross or above something is a different thing. And to always, I get what you're saying, though, because I did go to a church where it was hard to get to know the pastor. And, I felt that the only reason why I got a chance to get to know him is because I became part of the hospitality team. Yeah. And, that was the only way that I really got a chance to get close to them. And I was there for 22 years, and I had to become part of certain teams in order just to really become close. And that was hard, because we do want to get to know our pastors on a personal level. We want to become close to them. We want to, as pastors, do we stretch ourselves so thin? We can't either, because it's hard. We're two people. Yeah. And it's hard. And that's why we have assistant pastors, or that's why we have leadership and everything, so that we can be able to reach so many, but at the same time, we are humbled enough. We are humble enough to be able to be part of a family, and humble enough to partake in everything together. You get what I'm saying? And become a part of a family, because we're nothing better.
Yeah.
You know, we are nothing better. We're just alike as everyone else.
Yeah. You know, a couple examples. We had Eli.
Yeah.
Eli did not go up there and be like, hey, I'm evangelist Eli Contreras or whatever.
Yeah.
No. But you know what? I said that because I recognize the calling in his life. So I said, I want to call up this evangelist because he is an evangelist. And that's different. You know, another thing is that, for instance, let's say somebody does come. Let's say Pastor Thomas comes, which he has. And I'm introducing him, and I'll say, this is Pastor Thomas. He is a bishop and an overseer of over 500 churches. There's nothing wrong with that. I am saying that. He doesn't go up there and like, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? There's pastors in the United States that because they oversee 3 or 4 churches, they consider themselves an apostle and a prophet and all this and that. And I'm just like, really? 4 or 5 churches? Pastor Thomas, why does he oversee over 500 churches? And he's not over here like, just, you see the humbleness, you see the difference of that, and for some reason, I don't know what it is. Everybody wants to get recognized, if I would have somebody like Pastor George, who has Bible colleges, not just pastors, but he oversees Bible colleges. That is something that I would brag for him about, because I see great honor in that, or if he's coming, a lot of times he'll come and like nobody really knew him at the church. So he described the things that he has helped do as a way of letting us know, but that's different from bragging. He's just simply letting us know of the accomplishments or whatever that they have done, If I talk about my book, I'm like, yeah, I wrote a book, but I don't make Pastor Al say, hey, every time I go up, I want you to say, hey, welcome, pastor, author, painter. I'm like, that's so I guess this whole thing for me is rooted on when people self-exalt themselves, guys. It's a very dangerous place to be at. And it's a very dangerous thing to do. Because the Bible mentions about people that started right and ended wrong.
Well, I guess you're right, because, in a sense, the other day I seen somebody, being acknowledged as evangelists, and not even a year ago, I seen, people had, there had been, history of this person that was an undercover drinker, and it's sad when the rest of the people don't know the story behind people. And unfortunately, that people can be, that are called, and are out there and being called evangelists or this and that, but they live a certain type of life, and and that people, are still blinded and they don't see, or don't have the discernment because they're still new in Christ, unfortunately, or they're brand new followers. And that breaks my heart, unfortunately.
I'll give more insight into this, because this is somebody that's online. It's not somebody in Modesto or nothing. This person was in a ministry, and the person leading the ministry is a close friend of mine. I don't talk to him as much, but I consider him a close friend. And all of a sudden they parted ways, and the person that parted ways now started to, what's it called when you throw dirt on somebody? Bad mouth, or there's another word for it when somebody does that. You don't know the word? Mm-hmm. So this person left and just threw dirt on my friend who was leading this ministry, right? And my friend didn't say nothing. This person, because they knew the same people, spread all this dirt everywhere. No. And okay, I was talking about somebody else. There's so many people. Okay, and so all this dirt gets thrown. My wife texts me something right now. Guys, unfortunately,
That's what I was talking about.
unfortunately, this happens more often than you want to think. So I thought she was talking about somebody else, but okay, I'm on this subject. This person left, threw all kinds of dirt, reached out to everybody they both knew, and shed bad light on my friend. After about a year, I couldn't take it no more. I called my friend up. I'm like, why is this person saying all these things about me? I mean, about you. I'm sorry. Why is he saying so many things about you for? You know? And he goes, brother, I'm going to be honest with you. He goes, I had to release him from this ministry because he was a raging alcoholic. I'm like, what? He was, yeah, the whole time he was doing seminars and teaching and doing all this and that, doing videos under my channel and under the ministry. He was a raging drunk. And he finally, we were at a restaurant, we got into a big old, he always wanted to fist fight me. So I released him from the ministry. And I'm like, and all this year that he's been saying all these horrible things about you, you just kept your mouth shut? You know? And he told me why. He says, man, you know what? I don't have to stand up for myself. He knows what he did. He knows what he was doing. I agreed and half agreed with him, and I disagreed because, unfortunately, because he didn't say anything. He didn't. Sometimes in silence, people assume then that he was right the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden, you know, recently I saw him again trying to minister and this and that. And he looks just bugged out, like he's on coke or something. And it's just weird, man. It's weird because he's very self-absorbed. And unfortunately, this is rampant in ministry, you know. And I said it the other day, you know, we were watching this show the other day on Netflix about this ministry that just went wrong. And
it started out right.
Yeah, it started out right. That's a good point you said that.
Yes.
Because most ministries start out right.
Yeah, because I even asked you and I said, you know, David, like, why? What happened? Like, what happens? Like, at what point? Because it started out so beautiful, guys. Like, because I've seen this so much where everything seems so genuine, so beautiful. You see the heart of it, and it's just so beautiful. The prayers are beautiful. The heart of it is just beautiful, and you could just feel it. Yeah. You feel it just so sincere, so beautiful, and you feel the heart of Jesus. And then and you just slowly start to see it.
As the ministry grows. Yeah,
as the ministry grows, you start to see the separation. Mm-hmm. And it becomes heartbreaking.
Yeah. But one thing I did notice, right, is this ministry, the show we were watching, it's a documentary. I remember the person that was leading that ministry was very elaborate, very, what's the word you say, show-offy, or that show we were watching, that lady.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say? Like, just very showmanship or...
Showmanship. The more you start saying words, the more it just leaves me. Don't say no words. You say some far off words. The more and more you... Oh my God. You say more and more words. I'm like...
So anyways,
it'll come to me.
When I started comparing this person on that documentary to other people that had been in television or televangelists, and I told Sharon, I said, this is weird. There's one trait that I notice is they're very much the center of attention. They make themselves the center of attention. The way they dress, the way they do their hair, the way they wear their makeup, the way everything, like you want to be the center of attention. You want that glory, which is coming back to this verse. It is very self-apparent. Yeah. I see it in many Christian rappers. I see it in self-proclaimed evangelists. And the reason I say self-proclaimed is because if you were a true evangelist, what the best evangelist ever was John the Baptist. And what did he say? Let it be more of him and less of me.
Less of me, yeah.
So that's why I say that. You know, I've seen this in preachers where they got to be the one in the most stylish clothes, the one with the most expensive shoes.
And they're very lofty towards everybody.
Yeah, the one with a weird hairdo, weird haircut, or weird something that sets them apart. And I'm sorry, but educate me. But the only reason somebody does that, somebody wants to be different, you want to dress because you want to show, you want to be separated from everybody else. You want people to notice you. You know, and I see it, you know, and I see it so clearly because I was in the music industry, and that's what the music industry was about. You wanted to be the different one. You wanted to be able to walk into the club or the concert or whatever, and everybody know you're the man. You know, and I see that spirit in the church, and it makes me sick. I see it in ministry, it makes me sick. I see it on Facebook, and it makes me sick. When people try to self-exalt themselves, self-title themselves, and they want to get some of the glory of God and rub it on themselves or something, but the Lord says, I share my glory, I give it to nobody. Yeah. All glory belongs to the Lord. All glory, all honor, everything belongs to Jesus and Him alone. You know, and you know, I was just bothered, you know, seeing this guy on video, and this guy that he's still at it, and he still looks all bugged out. And the person, you know, you're talking about too, you know, again, self-proclaimed evangelist, and it's heartbreaking because, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. If you got other people saying, oh man, this person's doing this and doing that, but I heard that they were drunk at the park the other night. You know, I caught them by themselves. They were way over there by themselves drinking. I mean, stuff like that is heartbreaking. Yeah. It's heartbreaking, you know, and man, I don't know,
but
guys.
The thing is, you know, here's the thing, you know, they think that nobody knows, but the thing is that God knows.
And the one that matters.
Yeah.
The one that matters.
God knows, you know, and you don't know who's watching. You don't know who knows, and things get around, and a lot of the times, you know, things do get around, and you don't know who does know, and things do get around to pastors. And here's the thing that, you know, when things get around to pastors or they get around to leadership and everything, you know, it's important that you watch what you do, because the one that does know is Christ, and you got to make sure that you be an example unto others, and most importantly that you keep your testimony, you guard your testimony unto the one that's most important, which is Christ. You know, that you live your life accordingly. Yeah, I think that's what's most important, because he knows, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and it's hard, guys. It's really hard when you're ministering in a small town like say Modesto. Maybe big cities are the same. I don't know, you know. And it's a fine line of let me say it like this. I like writing books. If I wrote the books of all the stuff I knew, if I wrote a book about all the stuff I knew of people that are safe-proclaimed ministers, evangelists, whatever in the city of Modesto, it'd be a thick book. You know, and it's a very fine line, because sometimes I'll sit down with some of the congregation, people that we love, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to name drop. I don't want to say this or that, because I see the people that are around sometimes. And sometimes I want to shake them and be like, I know this and this and this, you know, but instead I'm just like, okay. And I just sit them down and be like, hey, you know, I noticed that you're going here, going there. You got to be really careful on who you're around, because sometimes people aren't who they proclaim to be and who they portray to be, you know, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're right, Pastor, you're right. And then the next weekend I see him again, And I'm just like, do I literally got to name drop? Like, I don't really want to get to that. I don't. I really don't. You know what I mean? But man, it gets it gets frustrating, guys. It really does.
I just think that that's where we have to have discernment, you know. We really do, you know. You have to ask the Lord for that discernment. You have to be the one that has to be guided by the Holy Spirit.
Because I'm not even trying to hear stuff, and I do. So that means maybe people hear that stuff too, and they don't care. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, what's that old saying? Feathers of a no. Something flocks together.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I know you guys are gonna correct me on the comments, but
I don't know.
you know, guys, just give God His glory that is due Him, and only Him and Him alone. You know, and don't ever follow self-exalting people. Just be humble. Those of you that are serving God and are leaders, pray that you stay humble. You know, if you know in your heart, man, you know in your heart that if all of a sudden you pastored, 2,000 people, you know where your heart would go. Just be honest with yourself. Be like, Lord, I don't want that then. All of a sudden you get a bunch of followers on YouTube, you would change in your heart and be like, Lord, keep me small. Keep me small and let me grow. Let my maturity handle the level where you take me first.
Keep me humble.
Because a lot of times we'll reach a level and the humbleness is still down here, immature. And guys, God is not to be mocked. God is not to be mocked. He is a holy God. He's a holy God, and put it this way. There's angels in his throne 24/7 that he's so holy they can't even open their eyes to see him. Think about that. The Bible says, matter of fact, that Isaiah, the one we're reading, was taken to the throne room of God, a prophet. And when he stood before God, he realized that he was a man of unclean lips and he was not even worthy to speak in the throne room of God. Think about that. This is a prophet.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You'll give me an honest answer.
Okay.
Do you think it's right for someone to, if they're going to seek counsel from their pastor, that they go to seek counsel from their pastor, is to seek counsel, but to receive what they're going to receive from their pastor, because they're obviously going to seek counsel and receive what it is that what their pastor is going to say, but don't just call to throw trash at them and think that they're dumping, it's their dumping place, because some people will do that. Would it be right for us as leaders to be like, hey, I'm not your dumping ground? Is that?
I've had to say that before to people. I didn't say dumping ground. I said, are you calling me because you want my advice or am I your garbage can? I've said that a couple times over the years because sometimes it reaches that, I think it's more of this, is that sometimes people have, let's say 5 or 6 people they reach out to get advice, because really what they're doing is looking for the advice they want to hear.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you don't tell them the advice you want to hear, you don't hear from them for months because they went with the person that said what they wanted to hear. But then once in a while, they'll get blocked by that person. So they go back to their Rolodex and start calling people again. It's a cycle, man. Satan works in cycles. And so that means people are going to operate in cycles that are not operating in the things of God, and it cycles all over again, unfortunately.
Because of what I had just talked to you earlier about, that I just kind of feel like, that sometimes people need to learn to not be a dumping ground, and they need to learn how to look out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do people approach that though?
But I don't think as leaders. I think as anybody.
Yeah, anybody. So how do people approach that, and how do people know how to tell people, hey, I'm not your dumping ground.
Your trash can?
Your trash can, yeah.
Is when somebody calls you with an issue or a problem and they seem like they want advice. And you know you gave them godly advice. Mm-hmm. And they go and do the opposite. I think after 2 or 3 times, because sometimes we're thick-headed, so we got to hear it a few times, we got to hit rock bottom, and then we're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. But once after a certain point, they don't want your advice. They just want to dump stuff on you.
Yeah.
And you have to learn to recognize that and pray about that. And finally, that's when you got to tell them that. Like, if you're like, you know what? Did you follow my advice last time? No. How about the time before that? No. Time before that? No. Well, then obviously you don't respect my advice. So why are you calling me now?
Yeah.
If you didn't respect my advice then, what are you doing then?
Yeah, and I think that's something that needs to be learned to be said even before they even you lend them an ear, mm-hmm. before you lend them an ear, right? Because before they even fill you up with their trash, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I really believe that sometimes the enemy will use it. Sometimes it's just not them, but the enemy will use them to bring things that are inappropriate. Sometimes the enemy will find a way in. That's an open door sometimes to bring things,
negativity,
that are negative into your home. Things that are inappropriate into your husband's mind or into the woman's mind, or something that is not right and that will weigh down in any way. And that's an open door, guys. So this is the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because you know what? That trash is an open door to negative things in your household and in your home and in the heart or in the mind of the person that is listening to these things. So you know what? You got to shut that down from the beginning. If that person never took your advice the first, second, or third time, like he says, then you got to shut it down right then and there and be like, you know what? If you didn't hear me the first, second, or third time, you know what? I'm going to keep you in prayer. Brother, that's all I can do. But you got to seek God, not me. Because I can't change things, but I know the one who can, and I'm going to pray. Let's just pray. And maybe that's what you need to do immediately, is immediately pray, but not listen to the garbage anymore. Mm-hmm. Because there has to be a time when you just got to cut it from that moment and not listen to the negativity and not allow those things to come into play and or into your mind or into your heart anymore, and not let it weigh you down or bring a burden onto your heart or into your mind anymore.
You brought up a good point right now. Is honestly, I think a lot of times people, they don't want God's advice, because if they're Christians, they know God's advice and they just don't want to heed it. That's so what they're doing is actually they're seeking out for a carnal Christian to agree with them.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They want justification to be able to say, well, so-and-so said it's okay. So-and-so, that sister said it's okay. That brother said it's okay. That's what they're looking for, because they're not trying to seek God, because they already know the answer. They already know the word. I'm talking about believers, Christians. And another point you brought up that is important to reiterate is the fact of this, guys, is if you ever notice, if somebody is having, say, divorce issues, like their divorce or major problems in a marriage, and they're constantly dumping on you, you got to be careful, because that spirit will come now into your marriage. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden you find yourself fighting because you became toxic. You allowed this person to put toxicity into you. Mm-hmm. And now that is going to start smelling up your marriage. So you got to be really careful with that also, man. Seriously. And when you tell them, you know what, you need to pray about this, take it to God. And honestly, the fact is they don't want to hear what God has to say.
Yeah, you will shut that door immediately. They will see that they can no longer come to you with their toxicity. And you know what? Once it's closed, it can't come in and try to destroy or bring or come into your marriage. And you know what? It has to go somewhere else, and it will not have a way into your home. And you have to close that door. And guess what? it will not destroy or come in and open up a door into your home. And so that's why I say that a lot of the times we have to close those doors. We have to take it to God and you know what? And stand in the gap. We have to be the ones to do that. Because if they can't do it themselves, then you know what? Then stand in the gap for them. But you know what? Send it on its way. Send it on its way. Amen. So I wanted to bring that up because you know what? You are not a garbage can. And you know what? I just pray that you understand that, because we have a lot of best friends, we have a lot of family, we have a lot of people that that we thought that cared about us and everything, that will bring a lot of that garbage into our lives and think that, you know, oh, well, I thought you cared about me, I thought you loved me, you know, I thought you were there for me and everything, that will throw a lot of those guilt trips on us and everything. But you know what? If you do love them and if you do care about them and all that, you know what? Then you know what? You pray for them. And that is love. That is tough love. That is love in a way that maybe a lot of people have never truly showed them. You know what? You do love them. And that's why you're going to pray for them and stand with them in the best way that you can. And it's through prayer.
Well, you know, you can always turn it around to that person. If somebody ever said, oh, like that, I thought you loved me, I thought you cared about me, you know, you could literally turn it around and say, well, exactly, I thought you loved me to take my advice.
Yeah,
I thought you cared about my advice, but obviously you don't. So you must think very small about my discernment and about my judgment then, because you have not taken or heeded anything that I have given you. So it can be turned around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just needed to throw that little tidbit in, guys. I really did, because, you know, I was talking to him about that a few hours ago because of something that happened, you know, a day or two ago. And I needed to share that. I really did. It was in my heart to share it. So, yeah.
Amen. Man, 51 minutes. I guess because we owed it to him because yesterday. But announcement. I finished Who Are You? Identity in Christ book today.
Amen.
Completely finished writing it. All this week, I'm going to design the cover and edit the whole thing. I already did it once. Every time I finish a chapter, I would go back and edit. But now,
that's awesome.
Now I'm going to go back, guys. So it's going on time. I wanted a December release for that.
Yeah,
so
now we can get going on Lydia's stuff.
I'm going to design the cover tomorrow. I got to edit hers too. So I'm in editing mode. Eli's has already been dumped into the software that I use to get it formatted for book. I already did that right before we left. I did it.
That's awesome. And
so a lot of editing going on with those books. So all three are in editing mode right now, and Lydia's and my book cover will be done this week. So I'm going to do a little ad with all three covers at the end of this week.
And Marlene, thank you so much. I love what you said the other day she was talking about my baked goods. She's all, it looks like it came out from a magazine. Thank you, girl.
It did. Sharon magazine.
Yeah, someday. Yeah. What happened here?
I don't know.
All right, but thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It was wonderful. Girl, I will tell you, it killed me. My legs were tired. I was exhausted, but it was so worth it. All worth it. One day I will have my little cookbook, and he's going to edit it and publish it. Right, babe? Mm-hmm. All right. Will happen. Will happen someday.
All right, guys.
God
bless you guys. We will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
tomorrow.
Tamara. Oh, Tamara is a name in the Bible, huh? Tamara. Yeah. So we're gonna enjoy the rest of our evening. It's fairly early. It was, at least when we started. What time was it?
It's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Not bad. I'm gonna have my dinner. We're gonna watch some TV and just hang out. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a blessed day. See you later.
Bye, guys.